our fellow fish friends. Um, I guess the best way to start off would be to introduce everybody. Well, there's Mr. Hitterunk. There he is.
Ah, you see? What did I say about 10 minutes?
Yeah. How's it going, everybody?
Doing good.
Doing good.
That's cool. Welcome to the Penguin Party community call. We're alive. We're here.
We're breathing.
We are breathing. And there are a lot of new hires. Has everybody kind of introduced themselves? I know I'm a couple minutes late to the meeting.
No, not yet. We were giving it about 10 minutes.
Oh, cool. Well, then I'm right on time.
You are.
Well, yeah. I would say now is a great time to introduce everybody. We have quite a few people here at Penguin Party now. Take a look at my spreadsheet. I think it's about 10 people that we've hired on. I'm going to kind of briefly highlight who all has joined us. We'll kind of go over what they do. There's Ferret Nose, which everybody knows Ferret Nose. He has
Represent.
been doing front end dev. Hey, Ferret. There's Dwee, who I've brought on as like my CTO. He's been here for a while. You guys all know him.
Hello.
There's Summer, who's kind of recently joined us as HR and kind of helping us craft our marketing strategy. There's Jonathan, who has been doing kind of assistant work for Summer. There's Khan, who's been doing Solidity development with me. Jared, who is Summer's kind of significant other, I think, right?
Yes.
Well, his job is front end development, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's debatable. Yeah.
And we have Davey's been kind of helping us out. He's been doing some very recent stuff in regards to like a staking postmortem, kind of the effects that that's had.
We've
on
hired him to
community
do a full
and-
statistical analysis on the effects of staking and just to see if just so that we have hard data to get a room temperature check on if we want to do it again for V3 or what's going on there.
Yep. Yeah. Great points from Dewey. Is there anybody else I'm missing out on? I'm feeling like there is.
You missed me here, sir.
Yeah, there's Plankton. He's
Me.
been community manager.
I also missed Animal Hut.
Yeah, an
Animal Hut, who has been doing work on the ENS gateway. That's been great. And then Pancake, who has been with us for a while doing UI. So altogether, we have like 10 or 11 people. It's grown a lot. Was I interrupting somebody? My bad.
I think you're good.
Oh, okay. Pretty silent. How's everybody doing?
Hanging in there, man.
Hanging in there.
Looking at the current state of the economic world. Wondering
Yeah.
what the G7, what this room full of people are discussing and planning and scheming, you know.
just
A
woke
global
up.
tax.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had some updates for Penguin Swap coming out from Ferret Nose, who's kind of been in charge of that for the most part. We've had Ferret, you want to talk about a little bit about some of the updates you've been doing?
Yeah, sure. Let me give everyone a quick rundown. So, what I've been focusing on for the most part is getting Penguin Party up to speed again. Sorry, Penguin Swap, because before it was a little bit laggy, so to speak, and now it's working like a fast, good exchange again. So that's a good thing. I've been tweaking the UI a little bit here and there, and also updated some of our about page information. Yeah, I've been doing some general housekeeping, so to speak, on the code. So, and I think in the future we're gonna try and improve even more. So, yeah, I'm glad to be on board, and yeah, we're gonna make something out of it. So that's a good thing. And if anyone has any questions, might be interesting to know. We have a feedback button these days, so if you have anything you'd like us to know, just use the feedback button. We'll get an email, and yeah, we'll be able to figure out what the issue is.
Yeah, I think that the feedback button is a great idea. It's right there at the bottom right when you go to Penguin Swap right now. And kind of as well, like Ferret touched on, before he joined in, there was definitely some latency issues in the code. It kind of made the app laggy and especially on a mobile device, kind of hard to use. And so we've kind of resolved that recently, and we're moving forward to get more analytics into the app, um, as well as kind of implement some of our broader features. Um, so one of the things we're definitely working on is kind of getting more options in the swap tool so that you can kind of select how many hops you want, change the preferred routing list, uh, those sorts of things. Um, I think as well, like one of the most important things that's been kind of happening in the background is we've been working on our own ENS gateway, kind of to compete with Cloudflare. And so Dwee and Animal Hut have been working for weeks on that project. So there's a lot that goes into it, but basically providing name resolution services for all of .eth.links, right? Anything ENS related, we want to provide name resolution for. And Cloudflare is kind of letting us down on that. So it's been, I think, multi-month project now to get that out of the way. Do you want to touch on that a little bit for a moment?
Yeah. So the first thing we did was sort of rewrite everything that Cloudflare did so it was a little bit more dynamic because Cloudflare's like infrastructure code is all hard coded for, their DNS servers and their endpoints like eth.link. And so we have that done. We have it working in locally. But we're trying to measure performance on an archive node to determine right now whether or not we need an archive node or if we can use a fast node, what kind of node infrastructure we need to like query the ENS stuff. And so we're just doing finalization for a beta, if you will, and performance testing pretty much. And then we should as far as like what the beta period will look like and what the end period will look like, or the release period will look like, we're hoping beta comes in like a couple weeks, a month max, and then maybe a couple weeks after the beta period we'll have enough data to release in production. And so we'll let you guys know when beta is ready and when you can test it.
Yeah, and that's actually really exciting to see it getting close to finished because it has been a while that we've been working on that project. And it kind of just started out of seeing a problem, which was that .eth.link domains loved a 404. Sometimes when you go to Penguin Swap or to Penguinalytics, right, you will get like a not found reply from the server, which is what we don't want, which is what nobody ever wants. And it's kind of
That's a bad reply, my dude.
it is a bad reply. Yeah, and so we've been trying to get that squared away for a long time. It's really important for these smart contracts to be able to access ENS names, and for the content hosted on those ENS names to be served to users. And so we want to get that taken care of. In regards to some of the Penguin Swap development we've been doing for a while, we're working on getting our ETH item integration finished up and merged into Penguin Swap. Um, I'm not exactly sure on a time frame for that. I figure it'll probably be a couple of weeks because we're still cleaning up the code and getting everything merged together. It's mostly just waiting though to get merged in and to see if we want to do performance testing on it and see if we want it to be like a secondary app, like our NFT shop, instead of like maybe being hosted on the main domain. So we're kind of checking into that and poking around a little bit in the NFT shop department. Um, of course, there's a couple of different people in here that want to sell their own merch, or have different ideas for merch through the NFT shop. So I think that'll be really cool once we get moving on doing our own merch. We met with Saren Protocol. We purchased about $10,000 worth of Saren tokens uh, and placed them in a liquidity pool against the fish, which makes us one of the larger market makers for Saren's token. I think I'll pull up a screenshot really quick. But basically, the idea was to kind of demonstrate our partnership to them, kind of acquire ourselves a nice big Saren bag. And we're kind of in talks with them right now to host an event between like us and Defo Hub and Saren. And so you guys should hear some more about that pretty soon after we meet again. But we want to kind of collaborate more between our projects, and kind of push and stress the fact that like we're partnered up with Defo Hub, and we're very friendly with those guys. We know them pretty well. I think, kind of going through my notes here, I definitely know Plankton has been very active on the social media presence front. Plankton, you want to talk for a minute about everything you've been kind of doing as the community manager?
Yeah, sure. So what's everybody? I am the new community manager with Penguin Party, and so I'm here to kind of bridge the gap between development and the community, because I know before, it was a little quiet. You didn't really hear everybody's in the back developing, but there wasn't a whole lot of communication of what exactly is being worked on. And so that's my goal, is to keep everybody up to date. So we have a more active Twitter presence now. We're working on a blog where we'll have updates on it, let everybody know what we're doing. There's a subreddit that's planned. On CoinGecko, we have updated our socials on the fish token. Crab, Tori, and Shrimp have been submitted. And we also have a podcast that we are planning to do with Saren and Penguin Party coming up. So we'll have that to look forward to.
Yeah, Plankton has definitely been all over the place, from Twitter to Facebook to Reddit. He's really trying to keep up with getting the marketing that the community requested done, and kind of putting our name out there and showing everybody what's going on. And just like he said, right, Plankton is kind of the guy that should be the bridge between most of the community in Discord or wherever, to us at the development team, or really specifically to me, so that I know what everybody's asking for, what kind of direction we should be taking. So he's kind of like the community liaison. We have been kind of waiting for staking to finalize. I think, do we have a count on how many days are left? Is it like 18 or 20?
Should be 21, I think. Let me check.
Yeah, 21 sounds right. So it was what, 22, I think, yesterday?
I know it was 22 yesterday. Yeah, so 21 days, 9 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, 21 days or so. It's been active for a pretty long time. So 3 months was a pretty long time to have this staking program going. It's kind of just now reaching towards the end of it, and we're getting free again to kind of make changes in the community or those sort of things, kind of get back into governance. I think that now is a great time for staking to be up, just so that we know what's going on with V3 and all that sort of thing now. because that the release of V3 kind of happened about halfway through our staking. So now that V3 is out, once staking ends, we will hopefully get this report back from Davey about some of the effects analytically of what staking did to the price or the liquidity or those sort of things. Personally, I think that it did do what the community asked for, which was to get more liquidity into the V2 pools. In that period of time of staking, it went from something like 20,000 in liquidity to like 200,000, and it went higher at one point. But it's kind of gone up and then kind of curved back down to where it seems pretty stable at its current amount. So I think that once staking ends, we will be trying to gently nudge the users to get to Snapshot and kind of place a vote in a governance proposal about more of the direction Penguin Party should go post staking. I certainly know that if we are going to do staking again, it'll have to be on V3 to nudge people in that direction. And we'll probably target a lower emission. I think that the staking program did have more of an effect on the price than we really expected. Not completely negatively. I mean, the price is higher than when the staking program really started, I think. Double check that. Boop.
Well, it also didn't help that ETH, we lost massive value when ETH lost 50-60% of its value. Everybody panic sold and freaked out.
That is true. And highlight where this is, show a screenshot. That's what I'm doing right now. So here was, and this is in the voice chat channel. Here's what the liquidity kind of looked like over this period of time. So it went from something like 20,000 to where it is now at about 237K. And I think that that's a moderate amount of liquidity. There are quite a few fish now that are in these liquidity pools. And I don't think that the next emission will be nearly as impactful on the price the way that it was this time. I think if you look now, we went from about $1 to around $100 at the peak. Now we're back towards like 7. So it's been a kind of wild ride in terms of price. It's gone pretty high and it's kind of come back down to something that, in my opinion, in my eyes, is a little bit more reasonable. But if you had purchased fish at $40 or something similar to that, you might feel like it's a pretty large decline in price. So I think we want to be very aware of that. Of course, people are going to want to consider these things before we ever do another staking program. So I'm doing a lot of thinking about that specifically. And trying to formulate exactly how we want the governance to operate before we deploy the thing. And so with about 17 days to go before staking is over, I want to get an interim solution kind of out of the way. And so I think that that's what the first governance proposal post staking is going to be about, is deployment of Castle and kind of getting more of a long-term plan for like, we'll transition to this and then to this, and it kind of all starts once we get out of staking. So we got about, would you say 20 days, 21?
It's
21.
21 days.
Yeah, 21 days, and then we'll be up with that. So it's about 3 weeks. It's not a horribly long time. Checking my notes a little bit more. So fair. Was that okay? I was saw my Discord message pop across there. I was trying to read something. Um, yeah, I think that now might be a good time if any of you guys that are in the community have any questions. Like, you could definitely direct some questions at me, or community members could kind of introduce themselves a little bit, talk about what they've been doing, anything like that. I think we have a pretty uh, fair amount of time here. It's silent. Is that a no? Nobody?
Everyone's shy today. It's very
Everyone is
upsetting.
shy. Yeah. Well,
That or we answered all the questions.
I
yeah.
mean, I can take us a little bit off track, but it's just like a brief update for the Uniswap community call. I got another 3 delegates coming. That's DC Investor, Harvard Law, and Monet Supply.
Yeah, that's sweet. So Monet Supply is going to come as well, huh? And what Black Sage is referencing there is the kind of intended governance initiative on Uniswap to try and get the fee switch turned on. Um, and in my eyes, hopefully, kind of initiate some kind of buyback plan for Uniswap Uni tokens. Uh, such a such a thing makes a lot of fundamental sense, right? Like take the profits from running Uniswap and start, you know, doing a buyback of Uni or similar. The beginning of that has to look like turning the fee switch on, though, which has the benefit of kind of gently nudging people from V2 Uniswap to V3. So we can turn the fee switch on for V2, and that kind of gives people an incentive to start migrating towards V3, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, a good thing that you brought it up. There's one thing that probably should be discussed, and that's the negotiation strategy, because I've caught wind of some people that are already gearing up for the community call to be just opposed to anything. And I've also took notice of some people that are strictly for turning on the fee switch on the V3. So there's definitely going to be some negotiation done around these points, and we should probably take a firm stance on it and establish a strategy of how we would propose it to these people, so we wouldn't end up settling on a proposal that we'd probably not want to go down the road with.
Yeah, no, and certainly when you're dealing with governance in terms of something that's contentious, you can expect that there will be multiple different um, kind of parties that coalesce, right? You're going to have people that are opposed to the fee switch at all, who are probably going to be people that are liquidity poolers, but they don't hold any uni. Um, and then you're going to have people that hold uni that are, super convinced for the fee switch or against the fee switch, or kind of like you said, maybe there's guys that only want it for V3 or only want it for V2. And so, um, kind of playing the game of diplomacy and going to each group that you can and asking them, what it is they want or what concessions they're willing to make uh, before it gets into the point where it's a formal proposal, right? I think is important. Once it's a formal proposal and it gets voted down, it's pretty unlikely to be uh, re-proposed.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of important to flesh out the details. Also, what is our official position on it as Penguin Party? Do we want to do like 90% uni buyback and 10% rest of the coins? And regarding the V2 thing, like if some people want to do it on V3, um, it came to my attention that we could settle on something like 90-day time lock for V3, when the fee switch would get turned on there as well. What's your thought on that?
I like that idea. I think the most important thing is just to get it turned on and for the Uniswap treasury to start um, kind of accruing some tokens. I do really like the idea of like using some of the funds for a buyback and like keeping some of the various tokens. Um, I'm not opposed to any of that. I think that the main thing is just convincing liquidity poolers that turning on the fee is the best thing for the community. And that's,
Yeah,
yeah, that's not easy to
get it
do, but
done.
that's sort of what needs to happen.
I think, you know what, coming into the call, I feel like the groundwork of people that are sympathetic with the proposal is quite huge. I think we have a coalition of around, I don't know, 20 million uni votes as of this moment that are for the proposal. Not entirely sure how many are against it, but yeah, it's going to come down to the details. But yeah, I think in the end, it's in everybody's interest to, get it done, get the details fleshed out, and take it from there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to get the right vibe under the proposal and the right details, and then I think in some ways try and prevent it from being like too like trying to do too much, right? Like in my mind, we try and separate out um, different parts of what we're trying to accomplish, right? Like voting to turn on the fee switch may not necessarily be in the same vote as like figuring out what to do with the fees. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
actually some kind of buyback plan. So in my mind, like the easiest place to start is let's just turn on this like fee switch, and then you can kind of move from there, and you can say, oh well, we have all these profit that's rolling into the treasury. Let's do a buyback program. You know what I mean? Where getting the fee switch turned on then is not affect like it. The two things aren't being conflated, if that makes sense.
yeah, it does. It does. There's one pitfall to it though. I've heard that a lot of LPs they're against it will probably vote for the proposal that will turn on the fee switch, but will not vote for the buyback specifically. So it's just kind of a thin ice to slide on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it turns into a question of talking about it with the community and kind of figuring out what the community wants. Um, you know, and playing. It's kind of it's governance, right? You know, it's different political factions are all going to have their own opinions, and so it's just a matter of kind of like you're saying, like talking to the people, talking to Harvard Law, talking to the various groups that are interested, finding out what they want.
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
Monet Supply and all those guys will be super nice though. They Monet Supply, for example, is part of the early Uniswap community call. So
Hmm.
he's he's been interested for a long time. So
Yeah, he recorded the first community call, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
um yeah, I remember Monet Supply organizing an early community call. Um yeah,
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
for sure. But yeah, so Uniswap governance definitely has a lot to do with what we're doing. I think that right now we have a large focus on kind of developing our app and our team and those sort of things. But yeah, like governance is super important because we're built on Uniswap and around Uniswap. So uh, we want to be really mindful of what's happening in that space.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you totally.
I see Animal Hut popped in here. Hey, Animal Hut.
Hey guys, sorry I was having lunch with my mother, so you know how that goes.
Yeah, no.
Hello. Animal Hut, do you want to talk about our ideas for like expanding the ENS cluster that we had?
Yeah. So for those of you who are not aware, we have a current project that we're working on that has several phases. So I'll kind of just briefly introduce that stuff at a high level. If you have any questions, let me know.
I already
Uh,
talked about phase 1, just FYI.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so moving forward, the kind of the initial goal here is to shore up and give some redundancy for hosting Penguin Swap. And then, after that, ultimately, this will end up being a publicly available ENS bridge IPFS gateway similar to Cloudflare's ETH.link. We've got a pretty catchy domain name. I think that will give way to a nice marketing campaign with a lot of meme potential. And then after we sort of do what we need to do in terms of testing and security hardening to get this thing opened up, the next step will be also offering the ENS resolver portion over kind of classic Web 1.0 DNS protocol. Which then kind of leads into the final phase where we will actually begin offering the Ethereum node RPC service as something that will be an alternative for platforms or users to use, as opposed to something like Infura, which is a little more centralized. So I think the overall vision here is to start building out something that can compete with some of these more corporate infrastructure platforms. And we're working out some details on something longer term where there might be a way to decentralize this further from an infrastructure perspective. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
I think that was like the best explanation you could give of what we're trying to do with the ENS gateway. Really having this name resolution service is like absolutely critical to DeFi, in my opinion. Like the Ethereum name service is like kind of one of those structural components of DeFi that is giving such a powerful thing to smart contracts. That is like the ability to reserve a name and have that name resolve to IPFS content or social media profiles or those sorts of things is just really valuable. It's one of the coolest identity services I think in this whole space. And for Cloudflare to kind of monopolize like on it because they're the only people providing access to that name resolution service right now, and then further to not provide good name resolution where we get like 404s and content not found errors all the time is just not great, for the space or for us or for anybody. So we want to kind of take care of that problem for the wider ecosystem, not just ourselves. It starts with ourselves, like he said. The beginning of this thing is just making sure we can resolve Penguin Swap and Penguin Analytics and those sort of things, and then kind of expand that out to the rest of the space. And kind of even further than that, just like Animal Hut just said, um, providing an alternative to Infura is critical to the space. Uh, Infura kind of has almost like a monopoly right now on providing an RPC endpoint for everybody's wallets. So if Infura stops operating, all of a sudden your MetaMask wallet uh, can't fetch data and it can't post data. And when that happens, it has happened a few times. When that happens, it's like chaos in DeFi. it's never a cool thing. Um, and that's not to say that Infura drops the ball very often. They don't. They're very professional. But that is to say that the point of what we're doing is to decentralize everything and to make sure no one group has all that power. So I'm excited for that kind of project to roll forward and to try and provide some of those services through the ecosystem. I think that it's like fits right into our narrative and our idea of like our company culture of who we are here, that we aren't necessarily doing it strictly for our own benefit so much as it's like uh, important for the wider thing.
Yeah, and I want to add too, we'll actually not only have feature parity with ETH.link, but we'll actually also be able to offer some services that I don't think that they support currently. So like tertiary subdomains and things like that, which currently you'll get an SSL error if you attempt to hit a subdomain off of your ENS name, and we'll actually be able to handle that use case natively. So I think that there's definitely an upside to using our platform for that, especially for someone that a team or a project that is committed to building their app or their static site exclusively on IPFS with ENS. We'll be able to accommodate much more advanced use cases.
I know I've run into that exact problem before of running a subdomain off of one of those names and then having it kind of give you that SSL certificate error, which is not pretty. And like uh, it's not well explained to end users what that means, like why an SSL certificate is important, or like all most people see is like, oh, this site doesn't have good security, da da da. And so I think that that's one of those things that is like not, it's not great for content creators. It kind of does the opposite. Like um, when you use .eth.link and somebody goes to your page and it 404s, instead of it making you look like you're using the latest, coolest DeFi tools, it makes it look like, oh, this thing doesn't work so great. You know what I mean? So we definitely want to solve that imaging problem because most of these technologies like ENS are really cool.
Yeah, we're working on kind of a technical blog post as well as an announcement and some sort of architecture, infographics, and that sort of stuff that I think can articulate this a little more cleanly and then provide a reference point for anybody that has questions about it. So I'm working on that with Plankton, and we're hoping to have sort of a beta of that document ready to go so it can be reviewed, and then we'll get that out for the community to take a look at and digest. We are wrapping up some internal testing around that, primarily with scaling IPFS and sort of the storage persistence tier of that, because anybody that wants to fetch content with their ENS name using IPNS or FS. We have to be able to go and fetch that data and then store it and then be able to serve it. And so there's just there's some considerations to take into account there around how we want to cache that to try to deliver the best end user experience possible.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, and that's one of the coolest kind of projects I think is happening right now at Penguin Party is that ENS gateway. If you're a VC endpoint, I think that competing on both of those spaces is pretty awesome. I don't think that providing superior service would be functionally that difficult when names fail to resolve all the time. So I just think it'll be really cool to kind of see that take shape. It's an awesome project. I'm glad to have you on that project, Animal Hut, and have we kind of working on it too. Do you guys want to take a moment, maybe to turn on your cam and like say, "Hey, I'm this person"? And
Yeah,
maybe
give
you
me a
guys.
second. My laptop lid is closed in the current config. Let me open that up. Hold on.
Yeah, give me
And
a
also
second.
too, we will
Yeah.
be open sourcing the config for this. So if you want to run this locally, we'll have a way for you to do that. So the idea is that anyone can pick this up and build out the equivalent at parity infrastructure. If you just want to run it in your home for ENS resolution on your local network, or if it's something that you want to contribute back and build into the ecosystem and offer a service as well.
Yeah, yeah, and that will be really cool. Um, I think that that would be kind of amazing to like have such a competitive product in like banking infrastructure. Something a lot of people don't think about. You know what I mean? But yeah. Oh, is it?
It's coming online, I think. I hope. Oh, hold on. I got something blocking the webcam. All right, try it now. Trying it again. There we go.
Oh, there he is.
Nice to see everybody.
Yup, that's Animal Hut. Animal Hut's been doing infrastructure for us. There's Plankton. Plankton's the community manager. There's Ferret. Ferret's doing front end DevOps for Penguin Swap. Hey, Ferret.
Yo, hi everyone.
I realized I was muted. I was saying we're real people.
We're real people.
You could
Yeah,
also
looks like
be
it.
robots.
I'm actually not a ferret at all. I'm a human being, it seems. Yeah, sorry, surprise everyone.
It's a surprise.
I don't believe you. I think you're a ferret.
Yeah, I'm LARPing as a human, so
Yes. Yeah, he's a ferret in disguise. He's like a superhero. But yeah, I just thought I would take a moment to highlight some of the newer people from the team, and then of course there's kind of go back over it. There's Summer, there's Jared, there's Dwee and Porgia and Pancake. We got the whole team in here today. I'm not sure if we have a whole lot left to talk about. We're kind of, I think, approaching the end of the meeting, but
Just to avoid confusion a little bit, Summer is Andy's wallpaper, Jared is Marduk, and
I am
Jonathan is Red Four.
Jonathan. Fear me.
he is Jonathan. Yes. But yeah, we're doing this meeting once a week now, right?
Yeah, it'll be every Sunday at the same time.
Cool. Yeah, so once a week we'll try and jump in here and go over everything that's happening at Penguin Party with the community, get the community calls kind of revamped and going again. Feels good to have a lot of new people on the team, doing a lot of different things. It's definitely grown a lot since since we started, and I was trying to do it all at once. So I'm really glad to have lots of new people here.
And game nights are on Sunday nights too, yeah?
Game nights. Uh-oh.
Yep. Yeah, if anybody wants to join, we play Jackbox and possibly other games. No
Yeah.
specific schedule, but perhaps after a community
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might even challenge you to a game of chess.
Oh yeah. If you guys want to fight, let's fight.
Yeah, I'll play you in chess, Dwee, any day.
All right, let's fucking go. You guys want to see me whip Hitterong fast? Let's go.
Let's go.
Hitterong's gonna
yeah,
be there.
I want
being
I
like,
want to see it. I want to see everyone get beat by Rich.
Hitterong's gonna
Uh-oh.
be like, "What is this horsey piece doing?" I'm just gonna pull out the fucking Caro-Con.
He'll just get a bot.
Ah, true.
All right. Well, we could do that, Dwee. I will definitely play you in chess.
All right.
You know, we could actually use a free Civ server as well. We could get some asynchronous games
Aw.
going. That would be fun.
That would be really
cool.
fun. I love free civ.
And another idea is we could do Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe, which is
Yes,
a
we'll host an
massive
open
multiplayer game.
TTD city builder server nonstop.
I think everyone's probably already fallen asleep. Ugh, video games. Where's the business? I want the business.
Yes, the business. Do you really want the business, Dwee?
No, I don't want the business.
Give me the business, Dwee.
You work hard and you play hard, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, work hard, game hard.
Yes, work hard, game hard.
Yeah.
I like it. But yeah, I thank everybody for coming to the community call. I think we'll hit the time right there on the official business matters. And if you guys want to hang out, goof off, that sort of thing, totally do that. But nobody's being forced to stay here. It's so silent. You guys are so quiet.
I'm waiting for Marduk to say that he's done recording.
Oh yeah.
So we can start making offensive jokes and that stuff that Khan said the other day that we're not gonna say.
You know that you just said that on the recording, right?
Yeah, you just blew your cover.
Yeah.
Damn
Now
it.
everyone will know